Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to another edition of Toxic Happy Hour. We're toxic towards scams that delay the adoption of global sound money. Now we have ourselves a new countdown video, one that Plan Marcus, who's in the chat, put together after my specs. I absolutely love this video. I think it took off when Bitcoin was talking with Plan Marcus yesterday when we're hitting like 15, 16,000. We're starting to get back towards the all-time high. But yeah, I just love it. Surfer Jim, how are you doing today? What are you drinking and what do you think about our new video?
All right, so I'm going to disappoint you guys because I'm only drinking water out of my insulated cup that keeps it nice and cold. Yeah, right. I drank kegs and kegs of beer in my life and found that I hated the way I felt the next day most of the time. So it's been quite a while since I've been inebriated on alcohol. But I'll drink like I'll have a pina colada or a tequila sunrise. I like Coronas. I used to drink a ton of Budweiser, as crappy of a beer as most people probably think that is. So no beer for me today, guys. But maybe when we see each other in Miami, I'll toast up with you.
Hey, Miami, no worries. You can put pretty good pina coladas down there for sure.
Oh yeah. That's the tropical mood is perfect.
So you're gonna bring the surfboards with you?
Not likely. Somebody just asked me that recently too, because Miami doesn't get good surf most of the year. Occasionally, it won't be the right season for good surf to show up, but it could happen. And if it does, I'll just find a board locally and try and catch a few.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of the state, and on the Gulf side, and obviously we get nothing for waves. But I think it was over at Vero Beach, up in that area. I did a surf lesson once, and damn, dude, mad respect for how hard that shit is. You can barely get up on the board, man, the first time.
Well, it's very hard. I often say that when you're with surfing, you're not just trying to learn how to balance on a board, but you're doing it on a moving playing field. And it's never the same. Every single wave is different. And so every time you try, you don't get to recreate static conditions like learning to skateboard on a ramp that doesn't move. So it changes the difficulty level in trying to learn. But there is, of course, conditions that are better for learning, certain beaches having the right board, which make the whole process a little stabler, giving you more time to go from laying down to standing up and getting the feeling of surfing. So under the right conditions, it's not that hard to learn, but Vero Beach wouldn't have necessarily been the best spot to try to learn, although on the right day, it could have been, it's not easy. I have to say, I think it's one of the hardest sports there is personally.
Right.
I still struggle with it all the time. I've been doing it like most of my life, and plenty of days I go out there to catch a wave and I wipe out. I'm like, what the hell happened to all those decades of experience? It doesn't matter. You read the wave wrong and it doesn't care.
Yeah, a bit like Bitcoin, I guess. But hey, guys, I'm super excited about the new countdown video and spend a small fortune upgrading the Restream subscription so we can run our own videos. What do you guys think about it? I'm hoping you like it.
Well, it's a classic for Bitcoin community for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I might have to record one. I can play the bongo. I might have to dub myself into one of those one day.
Yeah, why not? So guys, today Coinbase has gone public. I just checked the stock price like 2 minutes before we went live. And with the current stock price, the market cap of Coinbase, means the value of the entire company, if you put all the stocks together, is about $100 billion US, which it's so funny. That is more than 8% of Bitcoin's market cap. Imagine one company being worth 8% of the future money of the world. What do you guys think about the fact that you need 8% of all outstanding Bitcoin to buy Coinbase, a company?
No, I don't see it. I don't understand how it gets valued that high personally. Especially they don't even hold a lot of assets in form of Bitcoin anyway, which I consider the most important asset. So I don't see how the market values it at such a high level. Future cash flows, who knows what they use, but the whole IPO stock market derivatives market, futures market, the entire gigantic trading systems of the world have so much broken elements and corruption and collusion that goes on. Like, you have no idea anything about this deal. To me, it's just I don't know, man. Big players making a shit ton of money in one day. That's what just happened, right? Somebody made a lot of money today because it's hyped, it's whatever. It doesn't make it really worth that. You know, like, what makes a shitcoin worth anything? There's nothing behind half of them, but people put values on them for who knows what reason. So I don't know. Is Coinbase worth all that much? I have no idea. I personally don't like Coinbase because they promote shitcoins, which wreck people, and they make money doing it. So that I don't think they have the highest level of integrity.
Yeah. So, Puppy, what's your take on that?
So you're saying I should not have sold all my Bitcoin today and converted to Coinbase stock? That wasn't a good move.
No, people aren't going to fall for that, Puppy.
Hey, listen. It's Jim. I think we mentioned just the other day when we were on. What do they have? The company itself only owns like 4,500 Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's part of it too. That's what I was referring to. What is their asset base? What do they have as assets for the company? An electronic trading platform that runs on some computers in some buildings somewhere.
Yeah.
They got a handful of people, not nearly enough for customer service. It's absurd. For a company with that much money, they make a shit ton of money every single day on all the stupid crap they trade, which is automated by computers. What do they own? Do they own large tracts of land, buildings, all kinds of stuff? What do they own? 4,400 Bitcoin? Come on. Michael Saylor owns like 10 times, 20 times as much. It's insane.
I've always taken back to the scene in Wolf of Wall Street with Matthew McConaughey. It's a Fugazi. They keep helicopter money, trade money, wash it. It's just flowing around, man. There's absolutely nothing solid there. Nothing.
I think they still think in terms of fiat dollars. Their whole lives are based around making more money. And when you talk to anybody in society right now, making more money is making more US dollars, except us. To me, making more money is more sats in my hardware wallet. I just made more money, real money.
Yeah.
So, but when you talk about the value of an IPO, it's producing XY returns for people. That is all denominated in US dollars. And most people see it as a win if they've got more. And in many, many ways it is, of course, except that unit of account is being devalued every single day by the government continuing to print more. So you can have more of it, but is it really worth all that much more? Right?
Yeah,
over the long run, we know it's not. And you're going to need the more of it just to stay even, right?
Yeah.
As we go forward into the future. So, Brian Armstrong's been like an enemy of Coinbase ever. It's amazing. The guy's so wealthy. He helped build an onboarding platform that many people benefited from, including me. I had an account there at one time. And yet he could barely say the word Bitcoin in a sentence. It's so weird. And the Winklevoss twins are the same way. It's crypto this and crypto that. And the whole reason they even exist is because of Bitcoin. And that other shit's all going to go away. They're making fiat gains off of it, wrecking people. Look what they did to Portnoy, telling him not only to buy a bunch of other bullshit, but, not to hold forever his Bitcoin. The guy sells what, at 11,000? He missed a 4x gain. More than that at this point. Insane. How do those two guys look I don't understand why people they were just on McCormack's show the other day. He didn't call them out on that. Why not? Why not hold their feet to the fire? What's with these two guys? I don't know. Am I being too toxic yet here, guys? I don't want to ruin the show.
Hey, not even. Just real quick, and I think that if I'm not mistaken, McCormack show, and Peter was on with us, and he took a lot of questions and a lot of grief from the chat room, rightfully so, with valid questions. But I believe he was sponsored he had Kraken as a sponsor for some time, but now I believe Gemini is one of his sponsors on the show.
Oh, well, then he's got to play ball. That's terrible because that's a total conflict of interest, even if you disclose it. Oh,
yes.
The sad part is somebody like you or me might notice it and then discount what he says because of it. But many people won't. It'll go right over their heads. They won't factor it into his whether he's being biased or anything else. Whatever. It's all, there's so much of this crap that goes around. It's hard. I'll tell you something. It's hard to really stick to your principles, because if you find somebody that you generally would otherwise get along with and they do some really bad take, and you don't want to trash them because you like them, but meanwhile, if you want to stay true to yourself, you feel like you have to, that's hard. Like that whole stupid thing with Chamath that I inadvertently started, I didn't mean to piss anybody off. I was disappointed. I've said this and they all know. I was disappointed thinking I was going to a Bitcoin only conference, literally. To find out these were the speakers, and it wasn't even Chamath that triggered me. It was Novogratz getting put on. It was the day I saw he got announced. I'm like, this is, come on, why is this guy going to be there? So I sent out a tweet because I felt it was the right thing to do. But I clashed with people that I otherwise would get along with who thought I was way too harsh. You know, it's tough, man. It's I don't know.
I remember watching that tweet storm unfold, man, and you were absolutely in the right position. I feel. Yeah, these are the things that have to be called out. Even if it's nothing else, it's more of their conflict of interest to talk about Bitcoin, knowing every other quote unquote shitcoin that's a competitor is getting people wrecked, and they need to be held accountable. So you did the right thing. Like you said, hey, you lost some followers, but I know you gained a lot of followers because of it. So that's great. Man.
Yeah, well, the net difference has been ridiculous. I can't even keep up with it, which is weird because I wasn't ready for it. And there's a whole dynamic that happens with the interactions. There's so much more of them, but there's also a lot more negativity. You got to, decide how far you want to push back with people, get into arguments with people who I feel like, after a while you go like, why am I wasting my time with this one person who's got this stubborn, and then they want you to explain everything on Twitter in one or two tweets, which some of the stuff goes way too deep and you can't. So it gets challenging, but whatever. I enjoy the whole thing. I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to know you guys. I'm happy to talk about Bitcoin with people. I feel blessed to see this happening in society. I consider this like a monumental shift in all of humanity. The idea that humans have, for the first time, I want to say for the first time, the best, scarcest money ever. The concept of money is just a tool to help us divide our labor up so we could specialize in things and still get all the things we want. And so we create
store the value of our labor, which you can't store in something where they keep printing more. Then that's just fiat currency. Dollars is a medium of exchange where something that is scarce can store value as long as it is, the commodity that is the one commodity really that has a monetary premium, which is what Bitcoin is growing into. And as you say, it's the first time ever we have a money that is actually 100% scarce. It's hard capped. It's not like gold was great for humanity, but there was still a 2% roughly inflation every year. Now we have a money that you can just keep and it becomes worth more. I mean, right now at a very rapid pace, but once the price is finally reflecting the fact that it is money of the world, which I believe it will be, and I think all of us does, and it's, let's say, at a $20 million valuation. After that, it'll go up every year in value, similar to the productivity growth in society as we get better and better at producing goods, technologies develop. So it's a phenomenal money.
The best way to phrase what you just were describing is, I say it this way to people. When I'm describing Bitcoin and money, and Bitcoin as a tool called money that has taken many forms over thousands of years, we now have this new form of money, right, that we get to use. And when you have a static amount, as more and more people adopt it, so I trade some of my time for US dollars. I trade that US dollar for a thing called Bitcoin. The amount of hours I put in to get that Bitcoin, one day in the future, somebody will have to put 10 times, 100 times, or 1,000 times as many hours for me to give it to him. And so my Bitcoin has just stored more human productivity, going from lesser amount that I put into it, trading to the next guy who put way more years of his life into because the value, I won't give it to him unless he gives me much more value, which is his time. So when you have this scarce resource like that, it can only go up as it gets more adoption. But then when you add in what you said about human productivity. I like to say it this way. We started on this planet with nothing, no buildings, no cars, no roads. And we have everything we see around us as a culmination of human productivity because we had a tool called money to allow us to divide up labor. Literally, money gave us all the wealth we have on the planet because it allowed us to trade and store value and all that stuff. So you have oh shoot, what was my point going to be? So we got all this. We got all right. So a static supply of money, constantly. Jeff Booth hits it on the head with his book. We're constantly improving our productivity. So I say it like this: the value of the Bitcoin will continue to go up, equal to the amount of increased productivity that we have as a society worldwide, minus whatever we destroy, because we throw stuff away every day. So there's a net either increase or decrease. Now, we could destroy half the planet and all of a sudden there's a net decrease of things on the planet, and the value of a Bitcoin could theoretically go down. But all of human history shows that we continue to improve and have more net value on the earth. So it's the net value, what we produce minus what we destroy, that will go into the static amount of units that are Bitcoin, in the form of Satoshis and even millisatoshis on a Lightning Network someday. It might come to that where you need to try and get so much more value into the whole system that a single Satoshi might be worth what is today $100 in purchasing power, but you can't do that to buy a beer at the bar. So you need maybe millisatoshis on the Lightning Network. I mean, all this stuff could be coming. You guys know what I'm talking about. Anybody new to this might, what the hell is he talking about? Millisatoshis on Lightning. All right. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here that we understand. But the point is, though, Bitcoin can just keep going up in value forever. And, so I see it $100 million Bitcoin. So one sat is $1 worth of purchasing power. And you got to say it the right way, too. There won't be dollars anymore. When Bitcoin gets to that point, I try to be accurate in the way I phrase it and say, you'll have, if I say, I did a tweet the other day, 100 million Satoshis right now. No, 1 million Satoshis right now will be like $1 million in purchasing power one day. That would make us a full Bitcoin worth $100 million, right? So to get your $1 million, you only needed like $600, right? So imagine you took $600 US dollars and you had the purchasing power. You won't be putting it back into US dollars, getting $1 million US dollars for it. You'll have 1 million sats and it will buy you what $1 million buys you today. Now it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I don't know. But a Bitcoin would have to be worth 100 million. And I have people on Twitter going, you're out of your mind. That's never going to happen. Why do you? Okay, well, they said it was never going to be 10,000 when it was $5. So there's no reason it can't be. I can't predict the future. None of us can, but there's still no reason it can't be.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on the mindset is the one that I'm always interested in. I think it was IMF put out a video earlier that basically said, oh, so you're in the city, you go down to the store and you bought this chair that costs $100. Next year you went back and it's $120. And the girl literally just shrugs her shoulder and says, prices go up. Like it's the most natural, normal thing in the world. Prices go up. And I know you're of a generation, I'm not too far behind you, man, of the dollars. And we are saturated. We are swimming in the sea of what we grew up with when the dollar was taken off the gold standard. This is the life that everyone knows. Our mindset is set to, guess what? Prices go up. So to try to take them from that just to zero, let alone to explain, no, you don't understand. Your purchasing power will increase.
Right.
I mean, that's a hero's journey in itself to get that done with people.
We're fortunate enough to have already experienced it right now in the form of the Bitcoin we hold that we may have gotten a year or 2 or 3 ago, even 6 months ago. I mean, you're up a lot in your purchasing power. All right, what does that mean? You have to use it and go buy something with it, turn it back into dollars, spend it as Bitcoin. But the value's there. Society has decided these things are worth this much. You now have that value usable to you. And somebody has to trade you more of their hours of labor for the smaller amount of labor you needed to get it in the first place. So we are already experiencing greater purchasing power by storing our productivity in this new form of money instead of the old crappy form.
This is why I say that if you just have, not just, but if you have 0.1 Bitcoin, which today can be bought for six and a half
$63.
dollars.
Yep.
Yeah, 0.1 is like $6,500. That will in future buying power equivalent, in my opinion, $2 million. But it's $2 million in a world where prices go down because the money supply is fixed, productivity increases, and therefore that set amount of money, in my opinion, will be enough for financial freedom. In fact, it will be very nice financial freedom. $2 million is a lot of money. And also, it's worth noting that it's $2 million in a world where real estate have been repriced, because right now the interest rate is artificially 0%, which gives us a mortgage rate of, I don't know what is it, 3.5%, 4%, depending on your situation. But the interest rate right now, the free market interest rate on Bitcoin is around 15-20%. That's what people are paying to borrow Bitcoin. So if that stays true, and that is the free market interest rate, that once Bitcoin takes over as money, central banks can forget even playing a role. They can't manipulate the interest rate anymore. That means your mortgages might, hit 20-25%. That's going to crash real estate. Is going to crash, especially growth stocks, but all stocks. So $2 million in a world where houses might cost just 1/5 of what they do today. And that freedom can be bought today for $6,500, in my opinion.
I agree. Totally.
Yeah, one of the things on the inflation recently, I was joking with a friend about, I found a chart on the price of lumber versus gold, and lumber's been kicking gold's ass for 10 years now. And I was telling him, because in Florida, as you know, we always have to have our supply of plywood, in case hurricanes come. Like I said, Jesus, I just made $10,000 in plywood. If I said, maybe I'll convert it to Bitcoin.
I'll tell you, sell everything you don't need, man. I've been liquidating my life. I'm like, what? I don't need that thing. Let me get rid of that. I sold equipment. I sold a truck, a bunch of stuff. I sold a boat.
Yeah. We spoke about Miami earlier, Surfer Jim, and I can't wait to meet you and crack that beer can open with you. It's going to be fun. So who are you going down to Miami with, and what are you guys doing for accommodation, and how are you going to spend your time down there?
So I was very fortunate that I was accepted into the local New York City Bitcoin community. So I started down my rabbit hole journey by really going for it and going to meetups as a total stranger and walking in and shaking people's hands and go, yeah, I'm Surfer Jim on Twitter. And like, nobody knew me and they didn't care, but they were like, you're here for Bitcoin? We're friends immediately, which is how we all are with each other. So I made friends with a bunch of New York Bitcoiners, and they set up an Airbnb, and I was, allowed to join. So I'm going to be just sharing a house with like 10 other New Yorkers, but we're like 2 blocks from the venue. So I expect a lot of people are going to be hanging out at our house, right? Because some of these Bitcoiners are well known from other people know them. And I just could see it, whatever. It's a nice house. It's got a pool table. It's whatever. It looks like a party house. But I'm also going to have a car. I'm going to drive myself from the airport. So I like to be able to do whatever I want. If I want to get up and go somewhere, I like to just be able to go. I've never used Uber. I don't even have it on my phone. So I'm going to have a rental car. So if you guys want to take a ride somewhere, go do something. I'm also going to be there a couple days ahead of time. So I got to get a place for like 2 days before the Airbnb is ready. But there's also some stuff going on early. So it'll be worth it. Like there's a BitDevs meeting. So you guys aware of these BitDevs meetings? Have you ever been to any of them?
No, have not.
So I think it started in New York. I know the guy that runs the one in New York has been doing it a very long time. And it's so they use what's called the Socratic seminar format, which is meant to be that you might have one person doing a presentation, but everybody in the audience is encouraged to ask questions and teach each other. Because many times people in the audience are just as much of an expert, if not more, compared to the guy that's up there giving a discussion. As a matter of fact, there was one time where they were reviewing something like GitHub commits or whatever it might have been. Like, I don't know if it was Andrew Chow or something, and he was in the audience. at the event, because he's a New Yorker and he comes to, there's like 100 people there, and they're reviewing it because it was during the week. And then they go, "Oh, Andrew, you're here. You mind addressing this for us?" And it's like really cool because now you got the guy right there is telling everybody exactly what's going on. Like, you don't have to take the interpretation of the guy presenting, even though he probably knew everything what he was talking about. These guys are really smart. So it's very cool because everybody participates. So what's the New York BitDevs people coordinate with the Miami BitDevs people, and there's going to be a pretty good size meetup the day before the conference, if I'm not mistaken, on the 2nd. So I don't know what it takes to get in. I get a message on the Meetup app. So I just clicked, yeah, I'm coming, because I'm already going to be there. So I'm in. I don't know if there's a limit, but if you guys are going to be in town, I wish I knew how to tell you to figure it out, but like, there's got to be somebody you can ask that knows somebody to get on the list and get a seat if you want to go check it out, because it's a great meetup with tons of Bitcoiners and a lot of really smart ones. It tends to be, and it's meant to be a learning thing. It's not go hang out and drink beers and stuff. A lot of times that happens afterwards, but the idea is this is a learning experience. We sit down and we watch presentations and we reason together and learn and ask questions of each other. And it's just a really cool experience. And I was very fortunate before COVID. I got to do at least a dozen of them every month or two in New York City. I'd get on the train. I'm like 50 miles away and, spend 4 or 5 hours going into the city, go to the meeting and come back home and just loving it and met all these great people and whatever. Once I got in this space, I was determined to meet people and just really immerse myself, because I see this as a gigantic worldwide, I want to use the word movement, which doesn't do it justice, because this is a paradigm shift in humanity, and there are human beings driving it, and we're the pioneers, us three, and many people like us. We, assuming this succeeds like I think it will, generations from now, they will look back and go, those people had fucking balls, that they stood up against the system and they held that freaking Bitcoin through the dips, and those guys we wouldn't be here without those guys. All praise be to the freaking original pleb hodlers, right? I don't know what are they going to say, but that's where we are right here. We're at the beginning of a renaissance. This is amazing shit.
Well, it's funny. Your description sounds just like our show. Two idiots and all the brilliant people are in the chat. That's our audience. And we're just two idiots up here. Hey, let's go to the chat room.
I'm just a regular dude, right? Okay, so I'm a third idiot, right? Us three guys are just like running by the seat of our pants, learning what we can, talking this shit out, getting along with people, having our clocks cleaned when we look like an idiot sometimes. Somebody has to put us back in our place. But we're humble plebs. We know what we're doing here. We're smart. We're reasonable. We're not shitcoining. We're not screwing people. We're not scamming anybody. We're here for sound money. We're here to change the world and help people. Literally, we are here to fucking help people, man. I'm sorry. We are not here to scam anybody. Not us three, that's for sure.
You brought something up earlier, and it jogged my memory. Because you're talking about, the history of money is fascinating. The history of cultures, and what's interesting is the history of all these cultures is basically a history of money in many ways. We are taught in school a linear history. This date to this date, followed by this date. There's a great book, if anyone has the time and wants to order it. I think it was done in the early 1900s. A gentleman named Oswald Spengler, and it was called The Decline of the West. And he was the first one to put the history of cultures on a sort of wave scale, okay, where you had your up, your crop, your down. But what was interesting is most of the time it was tied to the money. The money, you had solid money to a certain point, then it started getting debased. So he had a way of showing how these societies every society ends the same way, because they always debase their money. They always end up the same way.
So you're looking at the growth and decay of societies relative to the hardness of the money, which you would not otherwise see in a straight timeline. You would just go, oh, look at this empire came and it went, and you wouldn't necessarily know why.
Yes.
That's interesting. But it is, all of humanity is tied to this tool called money. It literally is. There's no getting away. Like, we would not be here. I started this, early in this conversation saying this. We wouldn't be here if we didn't come up with the concept of a thing called money. And I'll try to explain this to people, total noobs. I'll go, imagine this. You're a tribe in the jungle, 150 people on the other side of the mountain range. There's some people you know about. You guys leave each other alone. right? You're out looking for some food one day and you find this shiny rock on the ground. And you're like, holy shit, look at this cool thing. I never saw one of these. And neither has anybody else. So you bring it back to your village and they all want to know where you got it from because they think it's freaking cool. So they go down the river, everybody's digging, they find a few more. Now 5-10 people in the tribe got them. And everybody else wishes they had one. Now they have something that's valuable to other people. Because why? It's fucking scarce. It's cool. It doesn't rot away. And of course, we're talking about gold. This is the development of why anything becomes money. Because us humans want to show off. We want the thing our buddy doesn't have so we can brag. Ha ha, I got one you don't. I mean, it's literally pure human nature. I got something you don't have, therefore I have leverage over you. You might be able to work really hard for me if you want this thing. It's amazing, really, at its core level, like a little kid and some toy that they have to share, and then one kid has possession of it. And he's like, ha, I got it. What do you give me for it? That's all this is. And it just grows and grows and grows. But then we recognize, okay, well, now that the whole tribe loves these shiny yellow rocks, we could use these to help move value around. They grasp onto the concept that thing can store something called value, which is our time, which is we go grab something out of our natural surroundings and we trade it to the guy who's got the shiny rock. Now that took work. That's called proof of work. I had to grow some chickens. I had to go catch a fish. I had to go do something. And the guy with the shiny rock, who also did work to go get it, he had to go find it. Now we're just trading work for work, value for value. It starts right at the very base level. This shit is like the absolute history of money. This is how it works. This is why we are where we are. Humans had a thing called money, a concept called money, disseminated into a physical object. That's how we did it. We took the concept of storing value and we said, let's hold it in an item. What item? Not sand off the beach, not oak leaves off of an oak tree. There's too many of those. It doesn't work. They rot away, whatever. And now we have the best form, a digital form. It's completely scarce. It's totally controllable. It can't be seized. There's so many things. I don't have to go over it with you guys. Whatever.
No,
Sorry.
I'm sure. What's interesting? Because obviously whenever I listen to so many thousands of hours of podcasts, and I've heard you before on some. I actually went back and re-listened to one today you had with Cedric, which was really good. But I know you tell the story of, and it's funny because, like you say, everyone has like 3 touch points with Bitcoin, and your first one was the same one I had. Oh, this is gamer nerd money. Like the young guy told me, this is just nerd money for games. I had no idea anything about it more than use on the internet. What struck me after I had heard the same thing, I heard a friend that had she had a boyfriend that missed out on it, and this is like in 2013 early. Okay, so that made me wake up, and I went back at it. So the one that really caught me is like, when I got to the part about it being unconfiscatable, I'm thinking down all the assets that I own. I mean, be it stocks, bonds, bank account, car, house, everything can be taken away. So that's the one that that's the one that sealed the deal for me. What was it about Bitcoin that really hit home for you?
Oh, for me? All right. So that first touch point about gamer money, that was just my perception because the guy who told me about it, because I knew he was into gaming. He was younger than me, and I was never part of my life growing up. Gaming came about when I was much older. So that was like a kid thing, and I was an adult by then, and I just never got into gaming. No gaming at all, like Fortnite, none of these popular ones, never touched them. Don't know clue how to play any single one. I played pinball machines as a kid growing up, and then Pac-Man when it, first video machines. That's I'm older. So so what happened for me was after that I was scrolling when I used to watch TV, scrolling through Netflix, and I saw a documentary on Bitcoin, and I remembered being curious about it but having no idea. And I'm just like somebody who likes documentaries, so I said, I'm going to watch this. And at the end of it, I thought it was really cool and it was interesting, but not enough for me to keep looking because it had a slant towards, in order to really get Bitcoin, you have to mine it. I don't know why that's the way I came away from it. I wish I even knew what it was called so I could go watch it again. But my thing was they showed guys with, mining rigs in their living rooms and their wives yelling at them and the noise. And I'm like, I can't do that shit. I don't even can barely turn on a computer. Like, I'm not that technically literate. So I'm like, I guess that Bitcoin thing is not for me. So then really it was the third touch, and I happened to be walking the dog, and I'll tell the progression. I would walk my dog every day, and I had a smartphone finally in my life, and I would scroll through, and I started to realize that on YouTube, you can look for old music, and you could watch old videos from when MTV first started and all the music I grew up on. So I would do that, and then I started running out of minutes on my phone. So then I got an unlimited plan because I didn't want to lose out. I was loving that, you know, and I was doing it even beyond walking the dog. I was using my phone to like listen to music videos or whatever, walk around. And then I realized that YouTube feeds you things it thinks you might want to know. So even based on a music video, you'll get something else because the name and the title of the song is similar to something else. So maybe you'll get a science video or a, you know, green energy video. It doesn't matter. Like somehow their algorithm just sends you stuff and thinks you might want to watch it. And sure enough, I would see a title of something completely unrelated to music and go, oh, it does look interesting. I think I'll watch that video about whatever. And then I stumbled on TED Talks, which I thought were really cool. You know, 20 minutes long about really interesting subjects, different speaker at every one. That was cool. And that was what did it. I heard a TED Talk, a girl talking about Bitcoin and how you can trust the way it works because you don't have to trust a single person that operates within the system. And I went, what is that weird concept revolving around the concept of trust? And for me, it stems back to starting my construction company. You guys may know I work on a barrier island called Fire Island, and it's an area of summer homes. And so the people that are there are typically there just in the summer. There's some year-round residents, but the summer residents, they all get to know each other. They do all their construction work in the winter, and in the summer they go to cocktail parties and they hang out and talk to each other, right? And I got recommended to somebody that needed some repairs and was unhappy with their contractor, and I didn't work there, so nobody knew me. So I go in with a clean slate, and I realized I have the opportunity of a lifetime here not to screw up and to gain everyone's trust. And what do I got to do? And I'd already known enough about how to run a business, and through, you know, I was almost 30 at the time. I was in my late 20s when I started my construction company. And I knew that if I followed the right principles, followed through on my obligations, I could gain and maintain the trust of these people. And so I did that. So now this is decades into it, and I'm listening to this TED Talk, and I'm going, okay, I know it worked for me. It's the only reason I have a business. I don't think I spent one penny on advertising for 25 years, and I never was out of work because it was just all word of mouth, because I always did what I said I was going to do. And I did a good job, and people liked it, and they told all their friends to hire me, and it just kept going. And it's still to this day. I literally get all my work through recommendations. I don't even have a website for my company. I'd never even built a website. So that's what did it. It related Bitcoin to trust. I knew the concept was deep in my life and my success in my business, and I wanted to know why. So now I went down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, wishing to learn more about what this woman was talking about. And then I just dove in searching for Bitcoin content. I was like, whoa, I got to learn now what this is. That's what tipped it for me. And the idea that it could be worth more in the future, that came very quickly. I was like, okay, that's cool. It took me probably 4 to 6 months before I bought any. I could not buy it until I was 100% convinced of a lot of elements about it. Like, I had to dive into how the code works. Not that I could read code, but the mechanism of how hashing works and how digital signatures work and all that. I could not, if I couldn't understand how it worked mechanically under the hood, I couldn't buy any. So I spent months studying really hard because I really wanted it to be real. And then once I bought my first one, no turning back ever. Not a moment did I ever question it. I was so sure when I bought the first piece of Bitcoin. I've never, ever questioned my decision, ever.
Hey, I'll explain to you how you were sort of tagged in to that fortuitous encounter with a TED Talk. They actually can track things you write on Google, and when you type in "fuck the system" enough times, they're going to turn you on to Bitcoin.
I know everything is tied. It's unfortunate, you know. Our data is just tied and shared, and it's ridiculous. You know. There's so little I could do about that. I try not to let it bother me. You know, we'll see how much. Yeah. What? Go ahead.
Yeah, because now we're talking about, you know, basically surveillance of our communication, which we all know is true. but have you tried or heard about Sphinx Chat?
Oh yeah.
Apparently that's super cool. I haven't tried it myself yet, but have you tried it? Can you tell us how to? No, you heard about it.
I know about it. I know how it works or how it's meant to work. You know, I don't know exactly how to set it up. You do need a Lightning channel set up to use it. And I think you guys really obviously should incorporate it into your product, you know, your show. As I understand it right now, the people that are earning sats are getting those sats basically voluntarily. That is, I believe the content is still free, and it's more like, hey, if you want to tip me, feel free. And people do because they want to. There is an altruistic side of Bitcoiners. And certainly those of us who feel like, let's say if I was to go on one of these chats and I had it set up and I was tipping somebody, if I spent 100 sats, I might just go buy it and replace it for myself. So to me, I still paid them in fiat. But it moves the circular economy. It helps all of us build the infrastructure to make this system a normal part of content distribution. The idea that the content creator could get streamed money directly from the person listening at the moment, and as soon as they shut the stream off, the money stops. It's not like you have to pay to turn it on, and if you don't use the whole thing, you know, you still lose the money. You know what I mean? Like if you pay for a course or something, if you quit, you don't get a refund. But if you're streaming sats, you can listen to half a broadcast, and then as soon as you stop, you only paid for half the broadcast, you know, whatever. And they got what they got. But I just love the fact that it's growing organically with people voluntarily doing it. This is like when somebody says, well, without government, who would build the roads? People that want it would just do it. They would spend the money. They would allow others to piggyback on their expense, their time, their effort. This whole Bitcoin ecosystem was built on volunteers, literally, that everybody's riding on the coattails of millions of hours of volunteer work in every angle. And Sphinx Chat is another one. Now, people are earning income, but they're probably not earning income commensurate with the value of their real time in many ways. But that's okay, because for some people, they're earning money another way. This is just a side thing, and they're building it up. They're making this thing happen. I heard Jimmy Song talking about it the other day on a podcast, that he's doing the same thing. So you guys should be, as you know, people in the Bitcoin space out there sort of in the front, you know, like you're not just in the background learning. You guys are out putting out content. Some people would stream sats to you guys, and you could even set it up like, so for example, you have me as a guest today. You could set up the stream for today where some goes into all three of our wallets. So your guest can even get a little share of the sats coming in, which provides a positive feedback loop for everybody. Your guest is going to want to give that value, and not like, I know for a fact that, like, I don't want to give out crappy value, and if somebody's willing to pay me, I want them to think it was worth it. So I'm certainly going to try hard. If I know I might earn some sats by being here, I'm not going to come here and be a bonehead. I'm going to try and come here and give my best shot, the most value for the people that are spending their time to listen. So like this whole circular economy with Lightning and sats and Sphinx Chat, this is the future of content. You know, the thing is, you get rid of the middleman. Money goes straight from the content consumer directly to the provider. Nobody in the middle, no banks, no PayPal, nobody. No taxes coming out of it, and it can be instantly divided between you two guys and anybody you have in the background. People that whoever did the thumbnail could get a few sats, like, of the day's performance, and it doesn't matter. This is where it's going. This is where famous people are going to find ways to promote themselves and make money directly from their customers, and then you can offer the you can't necessarily guarantee things. I mean, maybe to some extent you can, but the idea that their data is not being collected by Google, that we're not sharing it, we're not selling it. You can come on a platform as an anon. You don't need your name. You don't need to sign up with ID or anything, your phone number, none of that. Like, you just come on as a random cartoon character, streaming sats, paying the guy. You don't care who it is, who it's coming from, and they don't care that you don't know them. That's the way it should be. It's like walking into a store, buying something for cash. They don't know your name. They don't care where you came from. They don't care where you're going. You made a deal. You put cash on the counter, and no personal information is exchanged ever. That's the way trade should be in many ways. In other ways, sure, you want to know who you're dealing with, especially for certain things, but not for this. You wouldn't. But in a KYC world, a normal world of today, if you tried to do this on a normal platform like YouTube or whatever, the government would have their hands in every bit of it, like making sure they're stealing their little tax cut that they think they deserve, whatever bullshit that you got to follow. You say the wrong thing, they're cutting you off. No. People want to get away from that shit, and it's going to happen. It's direct peer-to-peer exchange of information along with money in the form of Bitcoin is happening. It's going to happen. This is another pioneering avenue that Bitcoiners are. We're blazing a trail here. Literally, it's not just money. We're blazing a trail in a lot of ways. So unbelievable. Go ahead. Sorry.
So what I need to know is, like, for how long time do I need to talk to buy one ice cold Guinness pint? That's what's relevant for me. Pubby, over to you. Pubby.
Yeah, is it 30 seconds or 30 minutes? What are they going to pay you?
No, listen, I was discussing this with a friend the other day, and I find it fascinating that Jim brought this up, and I'm so happy you came on the show, man, because I knew we have a lot in common with our views. What I thought, when I'm looking at the future of what we used to have as after industrialization, this manufacturing based economy is going to transition. And now what you have is more, obviously, technology, machines, and less humans involved. So what used to be, we are a consumer economy, obviously, but you'll be able to do it with less humans. How do you exchange that value? And to me, you're absolutely right. It's imagine at first, before their implants, they could be glasses. And what you do throughout the day, you're watching advertisements. You get credit for watching advertisement. You go to stores, or you listen to a podcast. You give them credit. It'll be a give and take system of value.
That's interesting because a podcaster might pay you to listen because it's mostly an advertisement for their book or something. And so instead of you streaming sats to them, they'll stream some to you as long as you're still on. Now, you could game that by turning it on and going in the other room, but you never know how it could be worked out where, people can't cheat. You never know. People are very creative, but it's very interesting that you say it can go both ways, and I see that it can actually.
Yes, so pretty cool. You have a circular economy based on Bitcoin, based on Bitcoin, that is give and take of trading, because at the end of the day, we all trade time for value, you see, and people will pay certain amounts. But you know what that does for me is that drives up quality content, because people they understand how valuable what they have is, and they're not going to waste it on crap.
I agree.
You see?
I totally agree. Honestly, I think Bitcoin, understanding, grasping Bitcoin and recognizing what it is, what it can do for you and for humanity, causes you to change all kinds of other perspectives and time preferences and other things, just like what you're alluding to. It's really amazing how it changes incentives and actions and so many things. I know, for example, me, like I am way more frugal. Like I never cared about collecting points on my credit card or stupid shit like that. Even though there was value there, I could have turned it into airline miles or something like that, maybe a free plane ticket once in a while. But it was never really worth it. Now I got a Fold card and I get free sats for everything I run through that card. Like I can't push enough stuff through that card. I buy everything, my groceries now, my gasoline, everything. And I get free sats. I got the other day I got free sats. And then they have this wheel. You guys know about this thing? They have like a roulette wheel. You push the button. Okay. I got like times 75, the highest multiplier for your sats. I ended up getting like $10 worth of free Bitcoin in just by going and spending a couple $100 worth. I was like, what? That percentage wise, that's like, I got like 5% or 10% back relative to that purchase. That's like investing your money and taking a whole year to get 10% back. Nobody gets that right now. I just got it on a purchase of something, but I got it in the form of Bitcoin. It's like double bonus to me. Like, holy shit. So I do things I never did before. I never gave a shit about this stuff. Now I go out of my way to like run my life around it because I see the value in doing it. It's just so different. I don't know.
This is a perfect segue into what's been a hot topic for the last 5 months in the community, I think. BlockFi, lending out your Bitcoin, giving up control of your key for 6%. Now, hey, I'd love to hear your opinion on this.
Well, I would never do it because I'm not going to let go of my key like that. I would put it up as collateral to borrow money, like in a multi-sig, like Unchained does, maybe, knowing that they can't just take it. But only I would put a real lot of collateral so I would never get a margin call, like believing that the price would never go low enough. And then as long as I could service it, then I don't lose the sats. And then I'm basically buying Bitcoin today, but funding it over the next year or two. That's essentially what you're doing. You're taking some money against Bitcoin and you're buying back the Bitcoin they're holding for you as you pay them back in US dollars. But the theory being that you're buying back a known amount of sats for a known amount of repayment, but the value of those sats when you are done repaying could be worth way more than the amount you gave them back. The idea that it keeps going up in value. I mean, if you analyze it from using your Bitcoin as collateral to take a loan, you could end up in a situation, let's just say, for argument's sake, you got to put up 0.1 Bitcoin. So whatever that is, like $5,000, right? So let's say you want to borrow $5,000 and you got to put up a whole Bitcoin to do it. So you're like 10%, you got 90%, whatever the terminology is, but you're covered like 9 times on the amount you're borrowing, right? But as the price goes up, you might be able to cut that down to, let's say that was what the requirement was. Well, if the price doubles, now you could take half of the Bitcoin back and you're still at the right leverage, the right conditions where you still satisfy the right, your collateral, right? You're putting collateral up, right? So the percentage that you borrowed relative to the amount they're holding, as the price of Bitcoin goes up, you could start taking some of that back and leaving less there to collateralize the same loan. So there seems like value in doing that because you never have to lose the total number of sats that you own. But you got to be able to service it. So, but with BlockFi, you literally give up control of the key? It's just a promise at that point?
I believe it's a multi-sig setup. But what's interesting, and it's not like giving up all of your Bitcoin, but for example, there's some people, hell, maybe they have 20, 25 Bitcoin, 100 Bitcoin, whatever. Why not put up a part of your collection in a way? Yes, there's a certain risk, but to get a 6% guaranteed return paid in Bitcoin.
But it's guaranteed to the extent that they hold their promise. It's a third-party risk.
Sure.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Other than that, right? Because even if it's in multi-sig, if they can't get it back, if they've rehypothecated, it's literally out there, and you now just have a paper promise for the most part. Like, I don't know how they can do it, though, if it's in multisig. I don't know how they can physically let somebody else take a Bitcoin that's locked up between you and them in a multisig, and that person then can use it and spend it or invest it or lock it up in some other way. I don't see how that's even possible. So I don't understand. I certainly don't know enough about it, but I don't understand how BlockFi can actually, let's say I go to BlockFi and say, I want to short Bitcoin, but I want to own it. So I'm going to pay you cash. You're going to give me a bunch of Bitcoin. I'm going to put it on the exchange, and then I'm going to sell it right now, and then I'll buy it back again. So you need actual Bitcoin to show up on the exchange. So somebody has to physically give you the keys to that Bitcoin. Yeah. The exchange doesn't recognize that it's actually there.
Right? I don't think it's a multi-sig, but what Preston Pish, he interviewed the CEO of BlockFi, and honestly, that changed my view on it.
I heard that one.
What it is,
my view too.
But what it is, it's over collateralized loans. So they put up, say, twice the amount of dollars to borrow that as security for the Bitcoin that they borrow. And if the price of Bitcoin goes up, let's say 100%, they need to put more dollars as collateral, or that position will be closed, and you will get your Bitcoin back. So I would rather do that personally than taking a loan on your Bitcoin, because taking a loan on your Bitcoin, 12th of March last year, when you had a Black Swan event where the price dumped 50% in 8 hours, a lot of people lost their Bitcoin. I don't like that happening to anyone.
I agree. If your arrangement with the loan provider is such that they would give you enough time to put up more collateral, right? So, for example, had I been in a position seeing how the price tanked in March, I believe my original thoughts on the matter were, this is temporary. This is on sale. I'm going to buy as much as possible. So if I was holding and I needed to put up more collateral, I easily would have did it, just believing this is only temporary. It's going to turn around. If they
Sometimes
give you the
don't have time.
opportunity, no,
You don't-
that's true. Now I did hear, and I think it was the BlockFi guy saying this, that they recognize that sometimes it just takes more than a few hours to take your Bitcoin out of cold storage, get it on an exchange, and lock it up so that they're comfortable that the equity has been the collateral has been properly, I don't know how to phrase this, but you have the right amount relative to the amount you borrowed. What's the wording for that? The percentage that you borrow relative to what your collateral is. That's probably a term.
Loan to value, I think.
There you go. Loan to value. There you go.
Yep.
That's it. So yeah. So I remember hearing the BlockFi guys say that they understood that the physical aspect of moving the Bitcoin could take a couple hours and having it confirm on the blockchain. And so he said they were nice enough not to close people out, to understand that it's not their fault, that they're more than happy to put up the extra collateral. They have it available, and it's just a timing thing. Now, if you can feel comfortable with the people you're borrowing, that they're going to be that kind of courteous to you and not just cut you off like, sorry, it's a rule, boom, you lose. That changes it, because then you're really at risk, because then you're really screwed if the market changes fast. You're not paying attention. You're on vacation. You're sleeping in the middle of the night, whatever.
That 8 hours somewhere around the world, those 8 hours were while they were sleeping. And I'm saying it because I saw a friend lose most of his Bitcoin because he put it up as a collateral to get a loan and buy more Bitcoin. But when the price tanked, he lost it. He goes stopped out. So I think it's important that we don't just spread that message that, hey, you can just keep your Bitcoin and take a loan, because there is a risk of losing everything. And that's, I just think it's important.
No question about it. But the risk goes down the higher the value of the Bitcoin. So for example, if you had 10, 20, 100 Bitcoin, at some point, one Bitcoin could be enough collateral for you to borrow 100 grand worth of purchasing power, because your one Bitcoin's worth $1 million. And you got 100 of them. So you're like, yeah, I don't mind locking up one, and some bank's going to loan me the equivalent of 100 grand so I can go buy a new boat. Like, you're not going to worry about a margin call when your Bitcoin is $1 million Bitcoin's backing $100,000 worth of debt. And unless you really think it's going to crash that far down. But there is a point where the trade-off is so easy that it could make sense. Maybe not now. Your friend you're saying got wrecked. That's totally not cool. But maybe the margins are just too tight right now. The swings are too tight, whatever. I don't know. Look, it's risky. You lose the control of your key, and you potentially lose your Bitcoin. I don't care how you do it. Multi-sig, loan, whatever it is.
Listen,
I think what's interesting is, sorry, Pubby, I'll shoot it over to you afterwards. I think what's interesting is you can actually get a return on your Bitcoin while keeping your private keys. First asset ever you can do that with. And that is and I don't know how to do it, but I'm looking into it because I'm excited about it. But putting up some Bitcoin as liquidity on the Lightning Network, and you earn on routing fees. You earn a fee on that. Puppy, over to you, my man.
Yeah, what we're seeing now is the financialization of Bitcoin, of the market in a way. This was never something, I don't think, where someone would come out and say, hey, take 100% of your Bitcoin and take a loan against it. Take 100% of your no one would ever say that. However, what you're going to have during this bull run are a new group of Bitcoin, whatever, millionaire, billionaire, whatever they had, that are going to say, look, man, now is party time. Excellent. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Let's put it out there. If I don't have to put out 10% at a risk of a let's see, BlockFi Unchained Capital, and this, look, I'm already so far ahead. I can easily put this out there. So even if it goes down the tubes, I'm fine. I think.
Totally.
Think it's a valid. I think the risk level is there. It's a valid risk level for people that want to earn a little bit extra. I think it's
Yeah.
fine, and that's what we're.
Yeah, I
turning
see
into.
no reason. Yeah, and when you say earn a little extra, you could earn at some reasonable interest rate 6, 8, 10%. If you have enough of a stack of Bitcoin, and some people already do, and you put up a small fraction of that, the interest on that small fraction could be enough to pay your yearly expenses. That's how high the value of Bitcoin could go to make that such an easy. Hell yeah! All I got to do is put this up, and it pays my mortgage for the whole year in interest. I just leave it there for the next 30 years. My mortgage is paid forever. All I did was lock up one Bitcoin. You know, like that can happen.
I think we all expect Bitcoin to hit $1 million just a matter of time, right? And this decade for sure. And imagine getting a 6% return on $1 million. That's $60,000 a year. That's a lot of money.
On one Bitcoin. Exactly right. So you lock up one Bitcoin. If you got 10, let's just say, and plenty of people do, that's 1/10. You could lose it and still be fine, especially when a Bitcoin's worth $1 million. So you already got 9 others. So like, I mean, are you really that bad off if you lost one? It would suck, but still. Yeah, you could get, right, if you're living like a low, reasonable standard of what any of us could live like. Any one of us could probably live on 60 grand a year. Maybe not as nice as we want to, but plenty of people live on way less. So yeah, one Bitcoin could easily sustain you on the interest alone, and you don't even lose the Bitcoin. So yeah, it's an interesting future we have ahead of us.
Yeah, I'm curious. Again, the financialization of it is something that's going to be fascinating to me, because obviously, you hit 100K, 500K, all these products that are going to come out. It's very interesting to try to get your thoughts around.
What products? What is specifically? What do you mean?
Oh, like this, like from BlockFi and Unchained Capital, like now taking loans, getting interest. For now, what is it on BlockFi? Like 6%. Pretty soon, Bitcoin becomes so valuable, people are offering 8, 10% returns.
Well, you'll get true price discovery finally with what is a real money worth in the marketplace. What are people willing to pay to have access to it, or whatever. What was Anders was just saying how he doing the Lightning. What was he saying about Lightning just before? Shoot, what the heck was his?
I tuned him out on Lightning.
No, he said he was going to. What was he talking about with the Lightning? We were talking about Sphinx Chat earlier, which I said you guys should do, but he was talking about loaning money on Lightning. That's what it was. Yeah. Like liquidity, right? So, what is it? Lightning Labs created something where now it's. I think it's totally live and doable, where you could stake some Bitcoin. So somebody says, I want to open some channels. I just don't have enough Bitcoin to do it with. I'm willing to pay somebody a return on my routing fees if they put some money in my channel. So you take your Bitcoin, stick it in a channel of 2 other people you don't even know, but you're secured because it's a hash time lock contract. You're covered. Somehow you don't have to worry. You never lose control of your Bitcoin, but by being in a channel, moving back and forth, they get routing fees and they'll send you a percentage of it. And so some people know what their average routing fees already are. Some people are using this regularly. They have metrics to go by. They can show you, look, I earn approximately this much all the time. I just want to open up 100 more channels so I can make more money. Share it with me by giving me some of your Bitcoin, and I'll open my channels with your Bitcoin. And you don't have to open the channels. I'll do it. I'm already doing it. Like a guy like Alex Bosworth, who's making probably more money than anybody on Lightning because he knows everything about how to do this stuff. But I know some guys that I see in like Al's Dirtbag channel, and on Bitcoin Kindergarten, these guys are Lightning guys. They're into Lightning. They're also building this out. They're also working on these different things. As a matter of fact, this one guy that I talked to is now tutoring people and selling his consulting service of onboarding people to Lightning. And he's finding that people are sending him sats to do it. And so he's also been talking about staking money in, I think it's called Lightning Pool. If I'm not mistaken, where you're pooling your money with a bunch of other Bitcoin and then it gets used as funding for channels. So this is all happening. All this stuff is happening. So I agree that putting up money in a Lightning channel just to get a return on it is something that people that have extra Bitcoin are probably going to do instead of it just sitting there in cold storage. Might as well put it to work, especially it's considered to be basically no risk. I suppose the risk would be that it's in a hot wallet. But other than that, there's no losing of control. Like you never lose control. You can close the channel anytime or whatever. No, I shouldn't say that. I don't really know. As far as I understand, you never really lose control of your Bitcoin by doing this, but you do get a return on it. So it's a risk-free return in some ways.
Absolutely. And I just want to quickly say a shout out to John M. if he's still watching. He sent us a €5 for a Guinness. Looking forward to have that with you guys. Pubby.
Yes, I actually texted back. I'm going to hodl that until it purchases like 12 or 13 Guinness. We'll get there. But what's interesting, and I was bringing this up before because what you're seeing, I was talking about the financialization of Bitcoin, and this is what you're all of a sudden. Here come the middlemen. Here come the guys that, and rightfully so, they do the research on everything. They know everything about Lightning, and they're consultants now.
Yeah.
I love this about capitalism. Everyone will find a way to front run knowledge and get paid for it. It's beautiful.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. The only reason any of us have any knowledge is because somebody disseminated it to us. And some of it we paid for and some of it we got for free. I've been a teacher my whole life, running my business. I teach my customers what they're going to get, how things are built. I teach workers. This is just life. We pass along the knowledge we have. I got 6 decades of shit in my head. I put out a tweet a week or so ago, like, I just want to get it out there. If you can use it, great. Otherwise, throw it away, but it's coming. I'm just going to keep spewing shit out of my head. I got so much experiences, shit that I've learned and whatnot. I will say one thing, though. It's very depressing to think that all these decades I've been walking this planet, I've been lied to by the people I thought that were in charge of things that were honorable people. It just bugs the crap out of me. These parasites that run governments and steal our productivity by printing money out of thin air. Oh, it's one of the most evil systems ever created. And I didn't know any better, like I was indoctrinated into it, man. I was a public school kid. I pledged allegiance to the stupid flag, thought I was a patriot, thought all this stuff was good. And it's just terrible.
You remember? Look, I think the original idea and, what do they call them? All the amendments. I'm going to totally oust myself here for lack of knowledge.
The Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Yeah. All of that is great. And those founding fathers were against central banks. They knew it was evil and destructive, but all it took is one president who was willing to be corrupted and let central banking be implemented.
Listen, let me tell you something. Surfer Jim is very kind to you because I was going to let you just swing on that tree for a while of not knowing.
Why? What happened?
The Constitution. When he doesn't know it. I'm such a dick. I can't speak a word of English or Danish, but I was going to let him swing out there for a bit and save him at the end.
I'll tell you what it's called in Danish, grundloven.
Oh, yeah. You got a similar document over there that tells everybody what rights they have. The whole thing is a little bit convoluted as far as even the Constitution, as much as it seems reasonable what was written and the Bill of Rights is. I mean, these are reasonable things because they do kind of protect personal liberties for the most part. But it also created the state and this thing we call democracy that people think is actually good, and it's not. It's pretty evil. And, you end up with one person in charge of shit, ruining the lives of other people. Look at who's the guy in Canada, Trudeau, that runs the country?
Yeah.
Well, he's a freaking tyrant. It's unbelievable. It's like literal tyranny up there. One man setting rules. And then, the same thing in New York City with de Blasio or New York State with Cuomo. These guys are like literally like they're tyrants. They're literally, it's like dictatorships. It's unbelievable. And people think this is okay because they were voted in. What does that even mean? I didn't vote. I don't want any of these parasites to tell me what to do. It's disgusting.
It's funny. I just took a break to make sure no one else is in the house here because I was going to this next rant.
Here comes the truth. Here comes the truth.
Surfer Jim. The COVID bullshit is the biggest fucking lie ever perpetrated on humanity, man.
Oh, totally. I say that all the time.
It is absolutely true. And I know I was going to be dropping some F-bombs here. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Jim, man.
You don't have to apologize to me.
No, it ties into Bitcoin so well. Man, this lie of what they control, what they will do. And dear God. I mean, it's been great for Bitcoin this past year, obviously, but Jesus, where are we going?
I'll tell you, I am very strict. I try to really be congruent with my actions and my words. I am so against the mask thing, and I've never really worn one. I say it that way because I've been forced to. A couple of times where I absolutely wanted to be in a building somewhere that I had to do business, I couldn't go somewhere else, or like to fly on a plane, I had to put on a stupid mask. I typically will put a bandana on because at least I don't feel like a fool. Like feel like a cowboy or something. Like a bandana, I don't care. It's almost cool looking. But it's still, I can't stand the fact that I'm being forced to restrict my own breathing. So I won't do it. So I went on an appointment a little earlier, and the guy, I come rolling up, he goes, "Oh, you gotta have a mask to come in." Now, this guy wanted to sell me something. I'm not going to get into specifics, but I was a customer of his. He says, "Oh, you got to wear it." He gets out of his car. He's got his custom fancy mask with colors all over it, like, because people have to have their designer masks. This is a middle-aged man, maybe 30s, 40s. And he gets out of his car with his mask already on. "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" "Yep. Okay." And I'm walking up. I'm ready to go inside. He goes, "Oh, you got to have the mask. You got a mask, right?" I'm like, "No, I don't even own one." He goes, "Oh, you got to have a mask." I go, "All right, well, I guess we're not going to meet." He's like, "What?" I go, "Yeah, I don't wear a mask." And I was ready to just belittle the guy. In my head, I'm going, "Have fun staying poor, you fucking asshole. You kidding me? There's nothing wrong here. I'm not sick. Even if you got the thing, you're not going to die. You're not old. You're looking good." Like, oh man, the brainwashing is so intense. I can't even fathom it. I walked away. The guy did not make a sale. I did not give a shit. My principles are way too important. I am not putting on a mask to go in this guy's building. No way. Sorry. You're that fucking brainwashed. I don't even want to do business with you. You're a freaking idiot as far as I'm concerned. You're like so brainwashed. I can't trust you to make good business decisions. If I'm going to try and do business with you, how the hell do I know what the hell you like? How do you look at the world that I'm going to do a business deal with you and you're brainwashed into thinking these masks actually do anything? They do absolutely not. There's not a single scientific study that you can point to, not one on this whole fucking planet, that says masks will stop the spread of this or any other virus. There's not one, not fucking one. And yet people think this does something. Oh man, I can't stand it, dude. I don't know what to do. I am freaked out. I walk around this earth, all right? I grew up my whole life thinking that the world was always going to get better. Because when you learn about history, like I'm growing up, I learned about Nazi Germany. I learned about the injustices that took place. Like, why would humanity ever let that kind of shit happen? And here we are in going towards tyranny in what was the greatest country on earth, the freest country on earth, the most productivity, what America has brought so much positive, the people that ran the society, that invented things, that built up America, gave back so much to the world in so many ways, and yet we're fucking going backwards. The people that are running things are destroying lives, taking away freedoms. How could you take away freedoms like that? Why don't people fight? I don't get it. It's blowing my mind. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Sorry for interrupting your beautiful rant. I just wanted to ask you, because that's why we Bitcoin. Like, do you believe that Bitcoin and separating money from state will once again bring back those, make this nation great again, United States?
I don't care about the United States specifically being a great nation, as much as that might not sound very nice. I want to see all people equally free. You don't need a nation for that. You just need everybody to leave everybody alone. So will we get there? Yeah, I think Bitcoin will level the playing field across the entire planet, and borders won't matter anymore. People just get along. There won't be the incentives to start and perpetuate wars will disappear, because you have to spend real money to make real bombs to drop them somewhere. Oh, poof, there goes your money. Just poofed away. What do you get for going and killing somebody? Nothing. There's no return. If you can't steal his land or you can't steal his wealth, there's no reason to go bomb people on another side of the planet. Nobody has the incentive, right? I just saw some documentary. People worried about China this, China that. They're going to come and kill us all. They got what? 1 aircraft carrier, 2? We got like 20. They got like 1/10 the size of the military. Their budget is like 1/100th the size of ours. We have like 800 military bases around the world. They got like 5. China's not going to come and fucking take over here ever. It's never going to happen. People think this is a fucking threat. Our government sits there going, we got to worry about China. No, we don't have to fucking worry about China. We just should worry about ourselves. Just take it. Like, oh man, I can't stand the propaganda, the constant, like you got to be afraid of something. This is so disgusting. And it's only because they control money that they get away with it. Because literally there's people way at the top, central banker level, that create all the narratives. These are the elites that think the world is warming too fast. We need to kill people off. There's too many people here. And they set the agenda by deciding who gets the money. They support the crazy people who already are brainwashed into believing their position is correct, like AOC, and it's going to be 12 years and we're all dead, right? So give that chick some money. Make sure she gets reelected, right? Make sure she gets a clothing line that is worth millions now. She was a bartender 4 years ago? Now she's worth $1 million because she's got a clothing line. It's a joke. But people want her to succeed because she's voluntarily believing her own narrative, and it's the one that other people want propagated. And so the money it's trickled in all the right directions by all the people who are deciding where it goes from the top down. It's a funnel. It starts in a big giant top, and then it goes out from there. It spreads wider and wider, and all the decisions on who gets the money, right through lobbyists, corporate executives, government, it's all filtered through like who can control power and money. So politicians can write laws that make it favorable for certain corporations. I mean, just last week, I saw a tweet. Nancy Pelosi and her husband bought $10 million worth of Microsoft stock a few weeks before Microsoft was granted a Department of Defense contract worth billions. So, of course, their investment's going to go up. Now, if that's not insider trading, I don't know what else is. But she'll never get in trouble. People could know about it, talk about it on TV news, and nothing will ever happen to that woman. That's corrupt beyond belief. But she is in a position where the enforcers of words on paper, police and military, will not turn on her because they're told not to. She is in favor with those who control larger. She's a woman. She could have her ass kicked by any one of us, right? But no one's going to go beat up Nancy Pelosi, arrest her, shoot her, hang her, because she has defenders all around her, allowing her to keep doing her fucking bullshit and stealing from people because other people are corrupt enough to get paid to defend that fucking bitch. It's disgusting. She's a fucking criminal. She should be in jail the rest of her fucking life, and so should her husband. They get regulatory capture all day long to make millions because they're connected. Those fucks. Fuck them motherfuckers. I'm fucking pissed, man. I am fucking pissed. I can't stand this shit. I cannot stand this shit, man. It's everywhere. They don't get called out ever.
I'm going to listen. I got to call. Well,
I'm sorry, guys. Here. I'm so sorry. You can bleep all that out.
No,
we don't know how to, Jim. We don't know how to. And by the way, we're streaming live because then I don't have to worry about editing.
I'll watch my follower account go down now. Oh, that guy's too crazy for me. Fuck him.
No, I don't think so.
I don't care. I do not care. I am not here for them.
Here's the best part, man. Until today, Greg Foss at
I was thinking Greg Foss
had some of the greatest rants here. You may have just passed him.
Okay, good.
No, listen. We need to have you and Greg Foss to talk about bond markets and individual freedom on one show, and we'll just sit back and just watch the anger fly. It'll be.
I'll have to
beautiful.
meet him. I think I saw. I might not have watched the whole episode, but I do remember seeing him talking. But I just don't remember. I listened to so much stuff.
Oh, great!
But he seems smart, right? He's a pretty smart dude. That guy.
Yeah.
From what I remember, yeah.
And he surfs.
Oh, cool. Anybody who surfs is cool. So.
Dude, he surfs is into Bitcoin.
Yeah, well,
he's going to be down in Miami, man. He'll be down in Miami.
Oh, that's awesome. You know how many people are going to be in Miami that we get to meet? It's going to be awesome, man. Like, so I'm like worried I'm not going to have time for everybody. Yep. Like, I want to have an hour-long conversation with everybody. That's not going to happen. I'm going to have to give people 5 minutes of my time and never speak to them for the rest of the time.
I don't have time for the speakers. I'm there to meet people. I don't have time for the
Totally. I'm going to watch the speakers after the conference on YouTube.
Fuck.
Right?
I already bought a ticket. Fuck. Yeah, you're right.
Why? No, you got to. Right. You want to be in the venue, dude. You don't have to watch the speakers. You want to be inside. You need the ticket to be inside and schmooze with everybody. So you got to have the ticket. You don't have to sit there and watch the speaker. You could be outside hanging out by the skateboard ramp talking to Tony Hawk.
We're going to be in the lobby, yeah. No, there's a few I want to see, like Tony Hawk. I can't remember the rest, to be honest.
I would
just
like
know
to
the
see
big
like
names.
Peter Todd. He's a really smart guy, and I would sit and watch him.
Oh yeah, Peter Todd.
Oh,
Yeah, there's
by
a
the way,
few really great speakers that I would definitely be willing to sit there and watch. But
hey,
I'm
Tom,
definitely there to talk to my friends and meet new people and that kind of stuff, you know?
yeah, apparently
So,
Stacy Herbert's going to be there. Max and Stacy were on the show.
that's awesome. Yeah.
Found out she's a late addition. I reached out to her just to say, this is how cool they are as people. I reached out
I
to
know.
say, hey, thanks for coming out on our show and hanging out with me and Anders. She goes, listen, in Miami, come find us. We'll be at some meet. Come find us and say hello, man. We'll talk.
Yeah.
They're cool people.
Yeah, Stacy's been super nice to me. So I was very fortunate at the first Unconfiscatable. They had a steak dinner. And what they did was Tone Vase, who put it on, he asked what he would call influencers, you know, the relatively famous people in the crowd that were there, to spread out and not all sit together so that regular folks could sit with them. So I ended up right next to Stacy with Max directly across the table from me. So I got to have dinner and sit with those two for like an hour, chatting it up. And Stacy and I are both from the New York area. So we're friends. She literally knows me. I've seen her since, and she's like, Surfer Jim. She totally remembered me, which I was like, that's a really cool down-to-earth person. Like, she's super famous. Millions of people know her. And she did remember me. But we connected because we both have Long Island, some roots over here in New York. And we sat and had dinner together. So see, she sometimes responds to my tweets. We follow each other on Twitter, which is really cool. And this is a famous, busy woman. She doesn't have to pay attention, but she's a pleb. She's a regular person like us, like really down to earth. Max seems the same way. Like, Max is the kind of guy I would have hung out with in high school. Me and him are the same age. He's like a prankster, like always making jokes. Like, he would have been hanging out with me and my surfing buddies. Like, he's like the same kind of person, it seems like to me. So yeah, they're super, super cool, both of them. I really, you know, I think it's great that you guys were able to do a show together and whatnot. Yep. And it's cool that they're going to be there, because they would be totally down to earth like that. Like, yeah, come, let's hang out. It's going to be great. It's going to be so cool. Like, I don't know. So many good things going to be going down, after parties. Oh man, it's going to be nonstop. No one's going to get any sleep. Holy shit.
Yeah. Jim, just a quick question. Can I plug in a Bitcoin miner to your energy? Because I think I would, I think I could mine a couple of blocks.
I don't know. Sorry. Now, you guys get me going, man. I watch your show and I get pumped when I hear you guys talk. And I'm like, man, sometimes I wish I could just log on and start getting in the conversation because of whatever it is you're talking about.
Here you are.
But now I'm here today, yeah, so I get to do it.
Look, any time, man, just send a DM if we're in the middle of a good conversation with somebody. We'll bring you in.
All right,
it's not a big deal.
I love this. That's another thing that's so cool about this. Like, here we are, three guys just making a recording that maybe a bunch of people will watch, maybe hundreds, who knows. But like, we don't care. We're doing it because we agree with each other. We just want to shoot the shit, and it's really cool how. The ability, like, we could never be on television years ago. We could never stream from 3 different cameras. Like, the technology wasn't there. We're literally like a television show on the internet right now. That's fucking amazing. Like, that we can even do this. So the opportunity that we just have to bullshit with each other, talk about Bitcoin and reason about the whole thing and present, our perspective and knowledge and what to other people is mind-bending that we get to do this. Like, I don't know. I feel blessed that I have this chance to just rant, and for whoever wants to take whatever they can get out of it. I just think it's the coolest thing, man. Us three, like, who would have thought? Like, 2 years ago, we didn't even know each other, right? We've all been on this planet for decades, and here we are doing podcasts together. Like, our paths have crossed, and we now know each other forever. It's like so cool. It's like a unique. That's so cool. I don't know.
RD asked earlier, what's your favorite Bitcoin meme?
Mine? Oh, geez. Do I have one? There's too many. I don't know. I'd have to start thinking now. Like, you got to probably go with like a classic one. I mean, one of the first ones that I could think of was the roller coaster guy, the Bitcoin guy. Like, I don't know. Would that be my favorite? No, because some of these other ones are hilarious. Some guys make some really great memes. I don't know. There's just too many now. They come out hundreds a day now. These guys are amazing.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Chair Force and Greg and RD, BTC. These guys are always making stuff. It's crazy.
And Puppy here is
one of them. You make some too. Yeah. I haven't dabbled. I actually know how to use Photoshop pretty well, but I've never tried. I don't have the time, man. I got too many things. I'm running a business. I'm going on podcasts and doing, one day when I'm not running my construction business, I would dive into all kinds of other angles,
Well,
like, you know, that kind of stuff. I think it's great.
I think it'll be fantastic when you can. Well, if you ever want to retire from construction, you just set up your man cave and say, you just Google, okay, Bitcoin memes. Here we go, because
Yep.
that's a rabbit hole in and of itself.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
You brought up something earlier, which I think is really cool. Is the word was always about how do we transfer value across, our local lines. How do we transfer it across the ocean? And you think about the Spanish galleons of putting gold in a ship and moving it
Sure.
over. But over the years and now to be able to transfer it at the touch of a button was the
Yeah.
same way. I equate that. I told a friend of mine, um, most people don't remember when you used to actually write out letters and put them in the mail.
Yeah.
Okay. And then someone finds out, oh, what do you mean? You can just type something in a computer and send it? No one will do that because everyone writes letters. No,
Yeah.
people will do what's easy. And this is the easiest transfer of value. There's no gold being moved across oceans.
No.
This is
There's no
value.
stopping this. There is no
No,
stopping Bitcoin.
not at
It's
all.
just too valuable. It's not only a valuable asset, it's a valuable system because of what you just said. Because you can move the value. It doesn't have to be a large amount, but the fact that you can move it so effortlessly for so inexpensive in and of itself makes the network have value, aside from the underlying token that it also has value. So there's really multiple different layers to the value proposition of Bitcoin when you look at it from that perspective. It's really interesting. There's the protocol, and then there's the actual files that are the tokens, the Bitcoins themselves. So yeah, it's really the whole thing is just so freaking fascinating.
Yeah, and
every day it blows my mind.
And we have Strike that by the end of this year will be rolled out on all currencies around the world, where you can literally send 5 US cent to someone in Europe and they receive it as euro instantly at no cost of transfer. And compare that with a normal bank transfer. If I have a client from outside of US paying me, not only do we get caught on the exchange rate, it takes time before it arrives. And I have to pay $15 to receive a wire transfer, something that just happens automatically, electronically. It's disgusting. And I can't wait for that system to be upended by Strike. So yeah,
that's all the rent sinking, the rent seekers that are in the middle of the flow there, all the rules, the government that gets in the way and makes it cumbersome. Strike is absolutely fascinating. When you think about what's actually happening, Jack Mallers has spent time creating his own private Lightning network, is how I see it. I could be wrong, but I've heard other people describe it similarly. That is, the Lightning network's an open network, but the more nodes that you have, with the more liquidity and the more channels that you control, or at least have not necessarily direct control, but access to, the easier it is for you to move money around on the entire network. And so that as long as you have enough liquidity at each end of where you're trying to send money, so you set up a lot of liquidity points, a lot of channels with a lot of funds in them, and now you have literally your own network where you can do that. So at each end, you have to have the ability to convert. So I don't know the specifics, but because Jack and his family are traders by, their history, they understand how to take positions and buy and sell and make money on trades, whether it's Bitcoin or something else. And so they can fund Lightning channel payments out of their own money and then get it back by trading in and out of Bitcoin when they need to make sure they always stay profitable. So they're operating multiple different activities that you just don't see. They're all completely obfuscated behind the Strike app itself. So you go on the Strike app and you say, I want to send dollars, and that triggers a trade somewhere, or at some point, some US dollars have to be turned into Bitcoin. So Jack is maybe converting, tens of thousands of dollars at one time, and he's batch transacting on the Bitcoin blockchain with his own money, and he's funding that guy's channel by taking his dollars, holding it in Strike, and then taking funds that he has on a Lightning channel and saying, okay, I'm going to send my funds across. and I'm going to turn my money into euros at the other end, and I'm going to fund this whole thing, and I'll get it back. The guy sent me money. One day I'll take those dollars and I'll buy some Bitcoin with it, and I'll fund myself back. So he is operating multiple layers of shit going on that you would never know about. But the Lightning Network allows the value to zip across the planet in seconds. But it's the in and out at each end that he also has figured out. That's the difference. It's not just using Lightning. It's his ability to know how to get in and out of trades, batch trading, and doing the way so he doesn't lose money. He knows what these guys know what they're doing. They've been his third generation traders in Chicago. These guys know their shit. So he has created something that literally rivals the Swift network on the planet. The guy did it. He's 26 years old. He did it from his closet. You know about his closet, right?
Oh,
we know about closets.
We're going to have a closet contest here because apparently,
well, do you know about his closet specifically?
Yeah, it was empty.
Yeah,
well,
huge.
It's a walk-in closet that was from a woman from a rich guy. They used to live there, and this was the woman's closet. And you could see that Jack doesn't need a lot, so all the shelves are empty. So it's just a big room to him, but it literally was a person's closet. Some high tide preference, rich woman that had all her clothes on all the shelves. So it's just kind of hilarious because he says, I coded this whole thing from my closet. Meanwhile, it's a giant room. Like for anybody else, it's like a bedroom. But it's just so funny because you see the empty shelves in the background. I just love it. Jack's such a really cool, down-to-earth guy. He's another guy. I got to sit and hang with him for like a half hour at the second Unconfiscatable, where we're just sitting eating steak together at the bar. Me and Jack Mallers. Like the guy doesn't know me, but he's like, hey, what's up, dude? And he was totally cool, like my friend, for like a half hour. So it's totally awesome. So yeah, he's such a down-to-earth guy. The whole thing he did is just mind-boggling and world-changing. It's really cool as hell, man, to be watching this happen. And what's the really amazing part? Strike is so revolutionary for moving money around the planet, and 99.9% of the world doesn't even know it exists yet. That's pretty amazing because these people have no idea this will affect their lives. They just don't know it yet. It's like I say to people all the time, I watched the entire internet computer revolution happen in my lifetime. There were no home computers when I was a kid. There were no cell phones. I watched a lot of things go from zero to where they are now. And something like this strike is going to happen. And if you, like, I think about it all the time. I use this example. If I had seen the internet revolution and the computer revolution, and I had known about this thing called a USB cable that everybody was going to need tons of them, I might have started a business just selling those, just make a nickel on every one. I'd be a multimillionaire just selling one item into a giant growing market. All you have to do in this Bitcoin ecosystem is tag along, find a tiny little sliver and service that part of a giant growing market, and you will be immensely rewarded. And what he is doing is on a scale almost no one can match, because he's doing like a worldwide system that helps everybody versus doing one little small portion in the corner of the ecosystem, whether it's a podcast like you guys are doing to just get content out there, or what like Ben the Carman does with DLC contracts working for SuredBits. He's working on one little form of code that helps Bitcoin operate a certain way. What Jack Mallers is doing is working on a more macro type of code that helps Bitcoin work in a different way. But his is more worldwide, whereas DLCs are more very individual to like time lock contracts for an individual. So a very granular specific use case of somebody building something that can help lots of people on Bitcoin, and then a big broader use case. All of it's just fascinating to me. I don't know. My mind goes in a million directions as I'm talking. I'm thinking of all these different things. And I hope I'm staying on topic here, guys, because I have. I'm so sorry. Sometimes.
I'm so sorry, Jim. We didn't have topics or an agenda lined up, so you
did we need any? I don't think we needed any.
No, but the point is that you cannot be off topic if we don't have topics.
Oh, that helps. That's perfect.
Hey, I'm gonna refine. We have to have the rant show because
yeah. Right. Well, I was already encouraged to start my own podcast called Surfer Jim Rants.
Yeah. Oh,
I was on a Zoom call one night. Somebody was ready to buy the domain name just so I could secure it, so I could just rant.
What's his name? Michael Saylor? Jeez,
it.
Gets old. Well,
he was smart.
What I was gonna say, look, man, the three best ranters in the space, man. Besides Surfer Jim, man, you got Greg Foss and you got Jack Mallers. three of them on one podcast, and I'll just introduce the show and say, "All right, boys, have at it," and just let the anger.
I could talk to anybody. Put me on with any of these guys. I don't care. I could talk to them about it. Like I might not know some of what, like Jack, he could talk over my head all day long, but there's enough I know about the ecosystem. We could still communicate. So.
No, it's
as Shelly Max says in the chat, Bitcoin Tina rants well as well. also, I think Max Kaiser is an epic ranter.
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
And American Huddle delivers a lot
you have
of
to agree.
entertaining. Yeah.
Yep, all three. I agree. Yeah, that's good. I don't mind being lumped in with those guys. Those guys are good. I was lucky. Like I contacted American Huddle. This was the second unconfiscatable. I knew he lived in Vegas. He doxed himself enough. And I asked him if he was coming. He took a direct message from me. All he was a no face, no voice. I had no idea, who the dude was. But I said, come to the conference. We should hang out and meet and talk. I wanted to pick the guy's brain. Like he didn't know who I was. But he said he was going to be there. He told me how to find him inside the room. And we sat at the back of the room for like at least an hour, just me and him bullshitting. It was just like instant friends. It was so cool. And that's the same night that he was on Adam Meister's podcast with Trace Mayer, right? This was literally a couple hours later. So this is what happened. I did the same thing. I reached out to Adam Meister. I said, hey, you're going to be there. I want to meet with you. Do you mind? Like, we'll hook up. And so he goes, yeah, just find me. You know what I look like. So I did. So now I'm chatting with him for a little while earlier in the day. Then I meet American Huddle. Then they go to film their thing. And if you go back and watch it, you'll see that Adam calls me into the camera. Like I go on the camera for like 10 seconds or whatever, because they're at the other side of the room. I know exactly what they're going to do. He's doing his show live with his laptop in the corner. And I'm like, I'm going to walk up quietly. I'm going to sit in the front row. The venue is emptying out now where everybody's getting ready to go to the after party. I'm going to just walk up. I'm going to watch his show live. I'm not going to say a word. He sees me coming up. He goes, Surfer Jam, come say hi. And he calls me into the camera. So this is the exact day that American Huddle is telling Trace Mayer how he's his hero. And then Trace Mayer goes out and starts shilling Mimble coin that night. Literally that night. And no one's heard from him since. So this was my day. I go to the conference. I'm having a great time. I get to meet Adam. I get to meet American Huddle. I meet Trace Mayer, and then shit blows up. I go to the after party. It's like this. Everybody at the after party is now talking about it. It's like, holy shit, what just happened? It was like a crazy whirlwind like thing to have. This is why I say go to conferences. The coolest shit happens. You meet really cool people. You become friends. Crazy shit goes on. You can't anticipate the stuff that's going to happen. It's so worth it. The fact that you guys are going this year, you are going to be so stoked.
We're going to love it. Does any of you know? So I think Bitcoin Magazine set up like an overview of all the sort of satellite events that people put up, to hang out and meet each other. Do any of you know where to find that? It'll be
there is going to be they're going to put it on their website as far as I know, but I don't think it's up yet. I saw Joe Rogers put in one of the Telegram chats that they're going to have it all in one place. They may have the BitDevs meeting I mentioned. I know Katie Ananita is going to be putting on an Underground Citadel event. I'm not sure the exact date, but I think she has it already scheduled.
I think. Yeah. I think she put it the 3rd. I'm arriving the 3rd afternoon, so I'll probably spend the Thursday to check into the hotel, and then definitely meet with Pubby. We're gonna have a drink together.
So
So I'm gonna go to as many satellite events as I can squeeze in, as long as they don't conflict with each other. And I'm gonna sign up for as many, whatever is out there. So far, I don't know of any specific other than Katie's and the BitDevs events. So those are the only two I definitely know of.
Listen, I'm gonna throw your phone number in my back pocket in case it's 2 a.m. and Anders and I are actually. I think we have a date set up with Stefan Livera to do some karaoke. Is this true?
Is he coming? I thought he might not be coming.
He was trying and
I know.
BTC sessions. Yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, I think BTC Sessions and Stefan Livera were talking about setting up a karaoke event before the Miami conference, June 4 and 5. Stefan, I think, can't really get out of Australia because he
What
lives
about Benny? Is he coming from Canada?
Pretty sure,
I know
yeah.
they're still pretty strict up there, but it's a little easier.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's coming down.
All right. Yeah, I don't understand this crackdown, the way governments are getting away with this. It's really pretty sad. It's not right. It's not. There's no real science behind it from what I could see. It's really disgusting. I don't know. I hope it goes away. I don't want to have to live the rest of my life under this kind of craziness.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's absolute tyranny, if you want.
It really is. This whole vaccine passport thing that looks like it's inevitable. Oh man, that seems scary. It's really kind of crazy to think that you could be denied access to something because you can't prove you're at a certain level of health. I thought your health was supposed to be allowed to be private. Whatever happened to that? Like to have to prove you're at any level of health is to inadvertently disclose your health, which I thought you're allowed to keep that private.
Not anymore.
So this is a roundabout way for them to dig more into who you are, what you're about, your life, literally knowing things about you that other human beings. Remember, government is just other people. So when you give up your freedom, you're giving it to another human. When you give up your information, it goes to other people. Government is not a mysterious thing with integrity that you can trust. It's run by flawed, corrupt people.
And this
isn't it funny that the demonstrations that are around the world against this are never covered by mass media? It doesn't, because it's not allowed to get the momentum.
But it's the funding. It's the money. It's the money spigot. The mainstream medium is very high up in the money spigot, right? The amount of money it takes to be a mainstream media company at any level, newspaper, TV, radio, it doesn't matter. You have to have millions and billions, offices around the world, infrastructure, all kind of stuff to be a media reporting agency of any kind, news outlet, it doesn't matter. So to get that kind of money, you need investors. You need corporate people. You need people with a lot of money that, like, when you think about it, so much of society is run by words on paper written by man. So the concept of a corporation, what is that? That is the made up fake version of a person. So a corporation can own assets. A corporation is run by lots of people, but oddly enough, corporations have this really mysterious benefit where, because men wrote words on paper to define what a corporation is, the people that run the corporation are not necessarily responsible for the actions of the corporation. Wow. Humans found a way to remove themselves from responsibility of their own actions. So you own a corporation or you run one, you become CEO one day. You didn't even start it. It's 100 years old. Now you're running it. And that corporation pollutes some land and kills some people. You, as CEO, will never see jail time. But a human being made a decision to allow the pollution to take place. I'm just making this up as I go. The point is, corporations have a side to them that are essentially evil because they allow humans to get away with shit the free market would never allow them to get away with. So everything people do that puts words on paper gives benefits to some people and takes away benefits from other people. Everything, every law, every rule is some human saying, you must follow my words on paper over here. And the only way they get away with it is because the control of money allows them to control more weaponry, therefore the monopoly on violence. Ultimately, every law is backed by the threat of extortion. We will steal your money right out of your bank account if you don't voluntarily give it to us, or violence. We will come and kidnap you. And if you resist, we will call it resisting arrest, and we're allowed to kill you. We can just shoot you because you resisted us kidnapping you. Now, if a burglar came to your house and you resisted kidnapping him and you killed them, right, you would not be charged. But if it's a cop who does it and you kill them, you just killed the cop. You're hanging for that, right? Because some men wrote words on paper and said the cop gets to live his life by other rules. He's allowed to kidnap people. He doesn't get in trouble for that because we've given him permission. Other humans who wrote words on paper. It's as simple as that. Government is corrupt at every level. Laws all over the place are bullshit because so many of them do not align with human nature and proper human values and first principles. They're just made up bullshit, like victimless crimes. You know, you roll through a stop sign where there's not a car in sight, but a cop sees you a half a mile down the road. As soon as you roll up by him, he turns his lights on and turns around and goes, I saw you roll through that stop sign. I'm going to write words on paper. You have to send me money. I'm stealing your money because you didn't hurt anybody, but you broke words on paper. It's disgusting everywhere. It's so much bullshit. Now, I'm not against rules. I'm not against organizing as forms of government to help people get along better. It's just the extent to it is absurd. It's way off the charts. Billions of rules on top of rules on top of rules. Some of them so old that they don't even apply to society anymore, but they're on the books. That's absurd. Like, the government is just too big, piled on top of itself multiple times in so many freaking layers. Nobody can make sense of it anymore. It's just all too much bullshit, corruption, controlling people, all because they control the money. It all goes away when everybody controls their own money. All of it. I could do this all day, guys. All day.
We know.
But I do have to go soon. I'm looking at the clock. I have to leave in the next 15 minutes at the latest.
Yeah. We got to end it about like in 8 minutes or so, I think, or roughly. But we haven't spoken about the bull run yet. We need to get the moon juice on because the price has been tanking while we're doing this. Obviously, because you were not. Well, you weren't wearing a scarf. It's the scarf pump, Jim.
And you're not wearing it.
Let me ask you.
I don't even own one. I would have to fake it with like a beach towel or something.
Yeah, that's there you go.
I wasn't thinking. Sorry, guys.
Jim. Yeah. No, you were thinking. But Jim, what are your expectations for the Bitcoin bull run this year?
Oh, wow. So it's so weird. I don't understand why it's not already pumping. But then I listen to smart people talking about how some companies have to sell here and there and traders push markets around. You would know about this. You're more of a trader. But the inevitable is out there. I just don't see how the price can't go up dramatically. Like, I just don't know what's going to trigger it. You know, you watch it pump. We got a new all-time high yesterday twice, I guess, because overnight it hit a new all-time high, 64,896 on Coinbase. Yeah. Right. So like, okay, cool. Two new all-time highs. So 64.8. And we're down to 61.7. We dropped by 3,000. Now, a $3,000 drop in 2017, you would have been almost at zero. So it's like amazing, the swings, right? So this is nothing. This is a blip on the radar, $3,000 drop. We're on our way to hundreds of thousands. I mean, I can't see less than 100,000 by the end of the year. I don't see how that's even possible. We're already at almost 70. But
bearish.
No. I said I can't see less than that, but I could easily see 2 to 3 even by the end of the year, because I could just see this crazy exponential momentum. As soon as you hit certain levels, other people are going to go, oh shit, I better hurry up. And it's just going to be a piling on effect potentially. I also consider the idea that we might be into some new super cycle where we don't really see that 80% pullback. You know, we've been watching 4-year cycles pretty religiously.
80% is probably off the table.
Yeah, I feel like
that. And I know Puppy's even more optimistic here than me, and he said there's we've got a bet going on a steak dinner where I said we will have a correction of more than 40%, and Puppy says we're not going to see 40%. So that's going to be interesting. It's running until end of next year.
40% from 100,000 brings you back to 60. That's lower than where we are now. That's a big drop. And if it's at 300,000, 40% brings you down to less than 200,000. You know, that's a really, really big retracement. I feel like that's really tough, man, with big institutional money wanting to get in. Some taking what they call profits, you know, because they still think in fiat, and others having to liquidate some because it's too high of a percentage of their portfolio now, right? Because they have to stay balanced, right? Can't have too much of one thing, which is, again, some crazy metric that investment funds have to sort of follow, you know, so they consider it not too risky. So that puts Bitcoin on the market, people selling it when others are going, you're crazy to sell now. It's going to keep going up. But that kind of cycling, I don't see that going away anytime soon. So a retracement of some kind, sure. We constantly see them, smaller level retracements and larger ones. But I still find it really hard to think that we could go to 300,000 and retrace back to 100 or even lower. I heard Tone Bays the other day say
that's 66%. That might be pushing it.
Yeah, no. Coinbase said
Puppy,
something like 150 back to 40, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. I feel like that's such a 40 from here. I'd feel was a big retracement. We're only at 62 right now, so
no, but
150 back to 40. I don't know. That
the
seems
big
like a lot.
retracement doesn't come until you have a FOMO blow off peak top. Well, historically, Puppy, you're dying to tell us how little the correction will be. Am I right?
No, listen, I believe in the Michael Saylor protection system. After 10% correction, he'll sell a yacht at 20%. There's no way. He's got a lot of yachts he has, but he will.
He's got 7.
Yeah. Listen, can you imagine him watching Bitcoin drop 20 or 30%? No way.
Well, it did in January, Puppy. It did in January, though.
What January?
It can, it can still 10 or
January
20%.
What January?
January
this
year, Bitcoin dropped around 31%. Like, don't be naive. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yes.
Was it that much?
No, I'm not saying you're not. I'm not saying you're naive. I'm just look. We 30, had. You 30%? Say which January? This January we had it.
So what did it drop from, and what did it drop to?
42,000 something to 28,000 something. And it was above 30%. Look, I don't care. Like, it's a great opportunity to buy the dip. All I'm saying is, we can't rule it out, and I'm looking forward to that steak dinner, buddy.
You think you're winning already, huh?
Are you on record, or then you're saying it's going to happen?
We are on record. We did this on
that wasn't
Happy Hour last year, where I said we'd do more than 40%. You said no way 40%, and you're right. Until the end of next year.
I just pulled. I have my trading view chart up where I can pick any time frame and see what the what the gain or loss is. And you're right. In January, from the 2nd to the 25th, it retraced 30.5% over 20 days or something.
I'm sorry, was it 40%?
No, 30.5.
I said, Puppy, I said it corrected 30%. Yeah. And you said which January? The 40% is not yet. That is later. That is what the bet is on. And we have until by the end of next year. I hope I lose. I hope that there is zero retracement. I'm just trying to be realistic.
We had 1 week in February. Just 1 week alone was down 21.32%. So, there's some good size retracements that are going to happen. I don't see 40 or 50 or 80. But
Anders
hey,
does.
You never know.
He's a bear. Anders a bear.
We'll see. But you know what? It's not going to affect any of us because we're all going to hold right through it, right? Because we're hodlers. We're not selling. I'm not selling.
I'm getting ready to go. I gotta leave to sell my Coinbase stock right now.
Let's check up on Coinbase. Let me guys, give me 2 seconds. I do have an app here somewhere.
Well, I will say the Coinbase ICO did not pump the price of Bitcoin today. That's for sure.
It didn't. So as you can see, it's been sliding. Coinbase has been sliding down during the day, and the market cap currently is 88 billion. Now let me do a quick calculation of how many percent that is now. So 88 billion over the market cap of Bitcoin, which is 1.157 trillion. So Coinbase has dropped from being 8.5% value of Bitcoin to 7.6%. Still way overpriced, but basically it's because Bitcoin is so underpriced, really.
Yeah, right. So do you think that the Coinbase IPO had anything to do with the price dropping today or anything at all correlated? It's not even, it shouldn't even really matter.
No, I'll tell you what it had to do with. It was the pump for the last 2 days.
Yeah.
I know it's about the scarves. I think there are a lot of people that were pumping the price to see it go. And then, like you say.
Wait, in anticipation of the IPO, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah. I see no reason why not. There's no reason to believe that's not possible. Yep.
And people just said, you pump it up, because everyone will conflate Coinbase with Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, the ticker symbol is coin.
Yeah.
A true. I don't know if the Bitcoin ETF will have a ticker symbol BTC. That would. But anyways, we gotta end the show pretty much now.
I'm so sad.
Yeah,
I love hanging out with you guys, man. I could do this every day.
Miami is coming up.
Dude, this is like, I was looking forward to this a lot just because I love you guys' energy, you know, and like I kept thinking, man, I can't wait to talk to those guys for 2 hours straight. This is gonna be fun as hell. So I really appreciate you guys having me, man. You let me go for a long time. I hope people aren't put off too much by it, but whatever. That's who I am. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I just don't give a shit.
I'm
something about when you get older, you just don't give a shit about a lot of things anymore. Like I really just don't care. I don't care about the gray hair I'm getting anymore. Like, you know, when you first see that when you're younger, you're like, oh, I got gray hair.
Surfer, Jim.
After a while, you're just like, fuck it.
Gray hair equals wisdom. I can attest to that.
Yeah. No, like, you know what? You got to embrace it. You know what really hit me one time? I'm in a bar, right? And there's a bunch of chicks, right? And I'm young and single, but they're way younger than me. And they're trying to guess. Like I'm with some of my friends, how old are you anyway? And I could tell they're like way too young for me, but I didn't care. They were hot. I wanted to like, you know, whatever. And one of my friends says something, they don't believe him. And they go, what's the matter? You're embarrassed of your age? And they hadn't asked me yet. I was standing there going, oh, shit, man. Am I going to lie and say I'm younger just so I can hook up with one of these chicks? Or am I going to admit that I'm in my 30s already? I'm in a bar with like all these 20-year-olds and I'm in my 30s. So I'm an old guy in this bar. And I'm like, you know what? I am not going to be that person that fakes it through life to get a chick. Because what if she hooks up with me? What if she really starts liking me? And then one day she sees my license and goes, you fucking lied to me. You're 20 years older than you said. You know, like whatever. But what's that going to do for the basis you started a relationship on? It's not worth it. Like, so don't start your life off with a lie. Nothing. No, I told them my real age. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to be like, that girl indirectly called me out. I was ready to bullshit so I could see if I could hook up. I was ready to lie and say I'm younger so she wouldn't think I was an old man and maybe she'd hook up with me that night, right? I was a horny young guy. That's what guys do. They bullshit chicks all day long, right? I mean, not right, but hey, that's what men fucking do. And chicks do it too. So it's equal, right? We all tell bullshit lies so that the other sex wants us, the other, you know, whoever we're attracted to, whatever it might be. Not always. No. Like I've had very great relationships, you know, whatever. And plenty of women that have just been friends that I've had great relationships. No, if you're going to start off on a lie, you know, what's the point, you know? So you don't lie to your regular friends that you're not trying to get in a sack with. So why would you start with a chick that might become your girlfriend or your future wife? Like start off on a lie just so you could hook up? That's stupid. So, and I was never the kind of guy that just wanted to hook up. If I was ever going to meet a girl, I was attracted to a girl. I was like, I would love to date that girl. To me, it was like, maybe that's a relationship. Maybe that's a future. So I was from day one, like, I'm not going to make this start out with some fake shit. What's the point? So yeah, that was a eye opener. You know, you got to be real in this. Like we all are. Like we're like pretty much open right here. Like whatever. Like take us or leave it. Man, you know, whatever. I'm not trying to phony up anything.
I want to let everyone know that they can find your Twitter handle down below. We got lots of links down there to profiles that one way or another have helped out in on the show. Do you have any final words, Jim? And then over to you, Puppy, and I'll do the usual outro. Surfer Jim,
yeah, I always shill the Long Island Surf Park. I'm getting used to remembering. So many of you might have heard. A good friend of mine since high school decided that we needed a Long Island Surf Park, you know, which is a big giant pool for surfing. And there's several versions of surf parks out there in the world, but we have our own version. And for about 6 years, I've been a consultant on this project to the extent that I've helped design the pool. We've come up with certain technologies that are completely unique to our own design. So it's really, I feel like a mad scientist in a way, like inventing stuff that's never been here before. It's very cool. And we even got to the point where we built a test tank. So that landed on me because I'm a builder. So based on the design, I helped create a test tank where we make little mini waves going across the pool so we could test our design. And so we think we're going to be able to make 7-foot tall waves every day. And any of you guys can come and learn to surf because we can make 1-foot waves too and give you a nice stable board to learn on, and anybody can surf. But for the pros that want to come that can already surf, we can give them nice head-high tubes all day long, 24 hours a day. And check this out. So we figured out, we did a lot of analysis on what it might cost to run this place and everything else. And electricity is not cheap on Long Island, but natural gas isn't too bad. And they make systems that you can use natural gas to create your own electricity. So factories do this, certain places do this. So we're going to make our own electricity on site. So we're running generators off of natural gas. When you make a wave, the equipment that makes the wave is cycling on and off. So it's not a steady draw on the electricity. We can turn Bitcoin miners on and off around our electricity draw. And with our excess electricity, instead of selling it back to the grid, we can create Bitcoin. So we plan to make waves and Bitcoin at the Long Island Surf Park.
Cool.
First, one of its kind.
Love that story. And Jim, I truly look forward to having a beer with you in Miami. Puppy, what are your final thoughts?
Not even final. This is until the next show, because one of the best things I heard from Jim in another podcast was, man, how do you convert? Because I knew I think we had the link below. How do you convert this excess energy into something profitable? And he found a way. He's like, man, you know what? Maybe we mine Bitcoin with it. And I thought, absolutely brilliant idea that we can convert energy that usually we would sell back at a loss.
Right.
Now we turn it into Bitcoin, which we know is
right.
going.
So anybody that has solar panels, you have net metering. So there are times when you're not using as much as the solar panel, so you sell it back to the grid, but at a much reduced rate. And it would work the same way as natural gas. If we're creating electricity, one of the requirements is that you still be tied to the grid. Like, I think it might be for a safety reason. So you tell the township that gives you permits, hey, we're making our own electricity. They go, okay, but you still have to have a backup to the grid. And that allows you to sell into the grid if you have extra. And so the guys that were, my friends that are really doing all the behind the scenes figuring on all this stuff, I'm just a consultant. So, but one day I had a conversation. I go, hey, if we make extra electricity, what's going to happen? And my friend's son, who's doing a lot towards this, he knows a lot of the ins and outs. He says, oh, we're just going to sell it back to the grid. And I said, I got a better idea. So I talked to Marty Bent about using, because it's the same exact setup. They're using natural gas to run miners off of an oil well. We're piping in, paid for natural gas, but we don't need it all. But we're still going to run the equipment. So if the equipment's running anyway, but you're not drawing the load equipment, you can send that load over to some Bitcoin miners and turn it into money instead of selling it back to the grid. So I see it as perfectly congruent with not only being clean. Oh, and the other thing, what we're going to do, not only does the generation plant that makes electricity create heat, but so do all the equipment that makes the waves. So we have already in our design figured out we are going to capture the heat off all this equipment and run the water through heat exchangers so that we have year-round warm water in this giant pool. So that in the winter, when we go in the ocean on Long Island here, we're surfing in like water temperature that's mid-30s, and people still do it with snow coming down. We'll be able to go to the Long Island Surf Park and surf in mid-60-degree water with the snow coming down, like totally comfortable.
Jim, I'm sorry to cut you off because we gotta end the show. But what a pleasure to hang out with you, man. Thanks for coming on, Puppy. Thanks for being the great co-host. Thank you for everyone watching. Thanks to John M for sending the €5 for a nice cold Guinness. Puppy, you have something to say?
Listen, at the end of the day, man, I love the plebes, and I'll call them plebes to the end of my days, even with Preston Fish. No, Surfer Jim is one of the best in the community, man.
Thank you.
The guy, he is ironclad in everything he does, and it's one of the few people that you hear the old-fashioned, my handshake is my promise. Surfer Jim is that guy. His handshake
it's true, promise. Man. I ran my business that way for years, no contracts.
Wait, you guys still talking? I'm kidding.
Sorry.
I'm kidding.
Oh, are we
Yeah,
out now?
free gym is trending in
Yeah.
the chat. Like at least
What
it
is
got
free gym? What does that mean?
means
Free
it
gym.
means free you from the
From
toxic
talking
happy
to us.
hour that we ended. No, but unfortunately we really got to end it now.
right.
Thank you for all the
Oh,
Jim, Poppy, and everyone watching and participating in chat, and John M for sending us enough money to buy an ice cold Guinness. Definitely going to have that. So final words is please be careful of storing more value in dirty fiat currency than you can afford
buy
to lose.
Bitcoin.
It's a built-in policy. There you heard it.
Buy
it's a
Bitcoin.
built-in
That's all you gotta
policy
do.
to dilute the value of your savings. So on that note, until the next time, which will definitely be next week, if not before, see you all in the next one. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you for having me. This has been great. Totally loved
Thanks,
it.
man.